Call the roll.
Bird.
Here.
McGinn.
Here.
Stein.
Here.
Mormon.
Here.
Pickla.
Here.
Sucker. Here. Ray.
Here.
Okay, number 2, approval of agenda.
Any changes, Your Honor?
No changes this evening.
Motion to approve.
Second. Call the roll.
McGinn.
Yes.
Stein.
Yes.
Mormon.
Yes.
Pickla.
Yes.
Sucker. Yes. Ray.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
Okay, number 3, presentation of petitions and other communications. And first up tonight, we're swearing in Police Officer Caden Sharp. That's okay.
Perfect.
Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, in your name,
I, Caden Sharp,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and I will faithfully and impartially,
and I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office of police officer
of the office of police officer
in the city of Boone, Iowa,
in the city of Boone, Iowa,
as now or hereafter required by law.
as now and hereafter required by law.
Congratulations.
You sign right there.
Do you want to give a quick shout out?
Well, the chief signed this.
And we're gonna put it on the back.
Yep. Oh, can you turn a little bit? Thank you.
Right.
We gotta get one of them.
You're good, right there.
Good. Congratulations. Welcome.
You need to sign this? I thought I could sign it. Make this legal. Okay, thank you very much. All right, welcome to Boone, or welcome to the police department. I know you're from Boone.
Mom and Dad, they went ahead and walked out there to a little reception outside. So just letting you know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, updated presentation of progress on the new elementary school. Guess we'll wait now.
I'm trying to watch the conference. Yeah. And then, looks like you got Jeremy and Julie. Mitch Lewis. And then somebody else that says iPhone. I don't know. They're taking EMT class. They're all virtual online.
Okay, we're gonna keep moving here. Next up is updated presentation and progress of proposed new elementary school, and I'll turn it over to, I think, Justin, we have the superintendent on Zoom, is that correct?
That's correct.
And she, those comments.
Hi. I'll put my video on. Hold on. Hello. I was trying to discern what was occurring on site because I believe Brian and Eric were going to be presenting some documents that were shared earlier today, just trying to update you on the progress compared to what you had previously, because that was prior to my tenure. I thought that that would be a good place to start, is for them to be able to share kind of what's the same and what may have changed. So I don't know if Jeremy, if you want to chime in real quick as to maybe what the last meeting that you attended at the city council and what's happened since.
Sure. I think the last meeting we actually presented to the city council was mostly around land discussions, location of the school. I think there was some discussion on where a potential road would be located. We really hadn't touched on the construction timeline or where we were currently. I know there's been some informal discussions between me and various people with the city regarding those things, but nothing at an official meeting like this. And as we're going forward towards a potential bond vote this spring, we thought it'd be a good idea to give you guys an update on where we're at and what our timeline is. I think is the big thing for you in terms of the bond and potential construction. And so I was hoping that, and I'm sorry, I'm homesick, so I've been out of the loop for a couple of days, but that's kind of what we were hoping to accomplish, is at least relay the timeline or our anticipated timeline to you guys.
Were any of you given the documents? Because I was alerted that that had occurred. It did? Okay. Because I don't have that in front of me, but there should be two documents. One that details a general idea of where the building would be located, but nothing is set in stone, because nothing will occur with regard to solidifying that location, you know, where it sits on the land, until after a bond is passed. So that's part of the reason why we included the timeline for you, so you could see that right now we're in the process of attaining signatures to put it to a bond, to put it to a vote, and then really all of the other potential action steps will take place after that passes. Even the designing piece happens afterwards. And so we were hoping that that would help you see that we're still very much in the early stages, and that's why we wanted to present now before we really got further down the road, so that you would have some time to see what the timeline looks like now before it would even go to bonds, so that it could help you in your planning from the city's perspective.
We understand that the city wants to know where the school is going to be located so that the road can be planned accordingly. But as you can see from our timeline, our projected completion date is, I think, summer of 23. We don't want to put the cart before the horse too far here and assume that Boone wants a new school. We want to give the community a chance to vote and tell us if they want a new school. If they do, then there'd be a 6 to 12 month community input design phase, and we would flesh out where the school would go during that portion. From there, we'd develop a construction set and then proceed to probably a 12 to 16 month construction timeline, depending on how we split things out, with an eventual move-in date of, I guess, the first class that would attend there ideally would be the fall of 23. So that's kind of what we're looking at now. That's, of course, assuming that the bond passes and everything proceeds accordingly. But as we've got it laid out now, we can't really tell you where that road's going to be located, because I mean, we could give you a pretty good idea. I mean, we could rough it off the topographical views that Eric's given us, but we can't tell you within a couple of feet of where that road's going to be for easement purposes or right of ways at this point, just because we haven't invested in that process. We probably won't do that until we know the community wants us to build a new school.
Council have any questions? The only suggestion I have is that until this happens, I think we back away from this. Staff has spent a lot of time and money and energy on this, and until they give us a definitive location, there's no use us pursuing this a whole lot farther. We can't even begin to ascertain what kind of easements or property we have to acquire until that happens, until we have a footprint. So, and I think the timeline that they gave us gives us plenty of opportunity and plenty of time to get that done before they open. So,
and Terry, to your point there, I understand that. And the school, the part of the reason the school is interested in this land is because it future proofs us some down the road if we ever need to expand or we need a sports complex. If there was a location for a road that was favorable to the city, the school would not be opposed to exploring that with you. You know, I don't know that we need to be the ones to say exactly where the road's going to go unless you want us to. We can do that in our design and development phase. But if there's an advantage to the city for development opportunities to put the road, 200 feet east or 200 feet west, I don't know. We're willing to explore that as a partnership with you guys and looking at what would be best for both parties, because to us, the school is going to roughly sit where it's shown. It may move a little bit. The shape of the school may change. But if there's an advantage to the city for road location, then we're not opposed to looking at that with you.
have you acquired the land yet or no?
No, we have not acquired the land yet. The language in the contracts are being finalized now. And I don't know, Julie, if you could give an update on when you think that would happen, but I would anticipate it'd be in the next couple of months.
That would be correct. I would guess in the next couple of months. I actually had reached out to our attorneys, and we have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow or Wednesday to try and discuss the language one more time.
Can you go back to that slide that shows that? So it'd be reasonable to assume that this is the projected layout or the proposed layout of the school, right?
No,
That's
no.
the projected location. The layout and the shape of the school will likely change during our design phase, but it's going to sit roughly where it is. And the reasoning for that is it's advantageous for the school to put it there for stormwater management purposes. So we know that it's going to go in that upper, let's see here, northwest quadrant of the land that we're looking to purchase. It's not going to shift 500 or 700 or 800 feet to the east or to the south. We want to sit it up on high land where it gives us plenty of access to move our stormwater to a couple of creeks that flow in a couple of directions there. So we can tell you with reasonable assurance that it's going to sit roughly where it's shown. I mean, it may move 50 feet or so. The shape may change. I don't know exactly, but
I think that's inconsequential to us acquiring land for the road. What I'm saying is that
The streets are gonna stay probably where they are.
yeah,
That's your answer, if that's the question, yes. The streets will probably stay pretty much where they are. The building, the shape of the building might change a little bit. Location is basically the same. Give or take a few feet.
so the road that is being proposed is the one that cuts up through your property and goes out to Snitch, correct? So all we really have to worry about is land acquisition to get to that point. The road inside on your property is you guys. The rest of it is us, correct?
Correct.
So once this is I don't care where your building goes as long as it's not in the way of the road, but once your land acquisition is complete and we have borders on your land, then we can proceed and have a pretty good idea where we're going to go.
Correct.
Right?
Mhm.
So I think we have plenty of time to do this once you get to that point, once your bond is passed, once you have your schematic design and have a pretty good idea, then I think we can go ahead and proceed and do this stuff. But I still maintain that we're gonna have a DNR study done, given the drainage problems that we're gonna face going on to Smith. Dan, I don't know if you can add to that or what you think, but don't you think that's?
Yeah, there will be a number of environmental clearances necessary for this roadway. And keep in mind also that anything that we do here will require water and sewer infrastructure, that'll be public infrastructure. There's a cost associated with that. So one of the questions that we have is who's paying this cost?
Depending on where we bring them from, right? That was that discussion we had about the lift station and all that other stuff.
Right.
Okay, and then I also assume that we're going to have a DOT study of the impact that this is going to have on Highway 30. I see they have a traffic study here. Is that traffic study that you're proposing, is that for Jackson, or what is that for?
That was just a placeholder, knowing that with Hancock Drive being extended and whatever's happening on Corporal Sneddon, just the impact that there may be necessary one, but not dictating exactly which roadway should be studied at this point.
Yeah, well, as Dan pointed out at the last meeting, that the intersection on Sneddon is not a county road. So we wouldn't have to have a DOT study. But the impact that it will make on Highway 30 at that intersection, which is your intent, I'm assuming that you can have a drive-through right out to Ames and Des Moines and right and so on. So that's your intent. I'm almost positive they're going to require us to do a DOT study on that intersection, see what kind of an impact it has, since it's already a dangerous intersection.
It's also going to increase the traffic, because one would hope for the parts of the north, you guys will be able to successfully develop and put another 50, 75 houses out there, so there's going to be more traffic from that.
Well, that would be I'm sure that'd be our goal from an economic development standpoint and just from a city standpoint in general. But I see that road to the south there, that is probably not going to happen, right? Along the southern border?
No, the road along the southern
That
border.
right there is not going to happen based on the fact that the people are not willing to develop that property. So it would be to the north. That was the only concerns that I had, is that when do we launch those studies? Who's going to launch those studies? If it's going to be the city, that's fine, but we need to know, and far enough in advance, because you know the DNR moves it's like watching paint dry. So we have to get that in the works if we're going to do that, and same with the DOT. Nothing happens very quickly with either one of those agencies. So we just have to keep that in mind going forward. The second that this bond issue, if it passes, I think those studies have to be, at least, the ask has to be made for those studies. So, and since we think we have an avenue to finance this, I don't think it's problematic for us. We just needed a few more definitive things before we get started. Because like you, we don't want to spend a whole lot of money on something that may or may not pass, right? Doesn't make any sense. Well, it doesn't make any sense for you. It sure doesn't make any sense for us either. So. But I don't think staff needs to spend any more time on this until after the bond pass.
That is staff's recommendation. Until we know. And then certainly when that bond is passed, if it's passed, we'll go to work and we'll work with the school. Correct.
Yeah.
Thanks, gentlemen. That's one thing, I'm sorry I'm late. COVID's out of control in the community. I just got down to the emergency room, 12-hour shift. I saw more COVID today than I've seen all month. We have 4 patients in the hospital, probably have more. We need to step up and have all of our leaders put masks on. I just said take 20 kids out of school today for the next 2 weeks. because some adult was irresponsible not wearing their mask. Our kids are wearing their masks. We got 99% of our kids wearing their masks. We need to have the adults in this community step up. Everyone's gonna wear a mask, or else we're gonna run out of room at that hospital, sooner rather than later. We're the community leaders, we have to lead by example. Thank you.
Dr. Millhouse, will the County Board of Health be issuing anything advising the mask mandate or community wearing?
County Board of Health will be meeting on Wednesday night. And one of the topics of discussion will be the possibility of issuing a strong recommendation that there be mandatory masking. The governor was just giving a speech as I was driving over here from the hospital, and the governor has shut down all junior high basketball. All restaurants must close at 10 o'clock. If you're standing, you cannot be drinking any food. You have to have a mask on in all restaurants. Outdoor groups are limited to 30 people. Indoor, I believe 15 with everyone on after mask. Or just the highlights I caught in the last 2 minutes coming over here. So I think the governor said, sounds like she was stepping it up quite a bit. I think that's a opening 5 minutes of her speech.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. For report of standing committees, policy administration, BJ.
No report.
Public safety, Stephen. We will not have a meeting on the 25th. So stay around.
We do have one potential for a driving point. I'll just push it to December. If you're okay with that, that's fine.
Utilities, Stephen. No report. Okay. Economic development, Greg.
A few things, Your Honor. Item number 1, approved Dutch oven BDIF. We've suspended on-site visits for COVID precautions. Just felt it was better than not take any chances. We already did a pre-site visit back earlier in the year before the back in this cold, actually. I think we closed that. But what they did on the BDIF side was the walkway all along the building there coming off Story Street. They completely redid for safety and made it nice, and then that gives them also additional seating capacity in the warm time of year. So that also gives them additional patio seating. So ED committee had no issue with it during the initial pre-site visit, and just asking for approval. It's not on here, but also on the BDIF thing, if you notice 703 work is proceeding, but they hit a snag because of windows and COVID supply issues. So they will continue throughout the winter and also spring of next year. Update on economic development position. EE had a meeting last Wednesday, I believe. Bill, it was last Wednesday we had our EE meeting, wasn't it?
Thursday.
Okay, Thursday. And that was a joint meeting with County Economic Growth on the position that we've been working on for the past year on moving forward with the city position. City ED meeting will take place at 10:30 on Wednesday this week here in council chambers for spacing allotment. And we're going to be working and finalizing the finalized applicants, and also an RFP from an organization that requested some services. So we have 4 individual applicants plus a service request, and we're going to be reviewing everything on Wednesday for a final recommendation to council. And then item number 3, David Councilmember Secretary.
Thank you, Greg. So the Art Commission, ran a survey for about 2 weeks, just gauging the temperature on what the community was looking for. We had 32 total respondents. All but 2 lived in Boone, and a surprise to me, only 50% of the respondents had children under 17 in the family. But anyways, when asked what the community art should create, what the community art commission should create, the overwhelming response was new reasons to visit old places and spaces around them. It equally received marks for memorable events, arts training and education, and community landmarks, and gateways received all the equal distribution. Respondents also answered equally that the role of the commission is to enhance public spaces, volunteerism, and community pride, as well as tourism. There were great suggestions when given the space for a blank answer, and that the high marks there were the codes and city parks and downtown buildings. Some single answers that were creative were the viaduct, the farmers market, and reaching the senior citizens. When asked about the visibility of arts and culture with opportunities to participate, the overwhelming response was that we had room for improvement. Anyway, and some final thoughts shared were some type of home base, such as the Octagon Center in Ames, and more natural and green settings downtown. So this really was just something to tell us what the community is thinking, because we can't really meet, we can't have, a big public meeting or anything. So I feel like it's given us a pretty good roadmap to put our goals together for 2021. And the commission meets again on the 23rd, and we're also happy to announce just a really small first project that we partnered with the chamber and 15 downtown businesses to host student art on what makes Boone special. So look for that through the holiday season.
Any questions?
Question?
Thanks, all. Thank you. Department reports, building official Ed Higgins. Finance officer Andrea.
Yes, quite a few. The urban renewal report is a report that we have to do annually that reports to the state how we spend our TIF money, what our balances are. That includes rebates, forgivable loans. If there's any loans out there that are outstanding, bonds, things like that. Are there any questions on that? The next one is the tax increment financing certification. This is our certification I do every year to the state or to the county. This is what tells the county how much money we want them to hold back so that we can pay our tax rebates and our bond debt. Questions on that? And this is based on urban renewal areas. So it's divided up into, I believe there's 5 of them. Fiscal year 2020 annual finance report. This report we do annually also. This report goes to the state, and it tells the state how we spent all our money. So what bonds we have outstanding, it tells them how much we spend on bonds, it tells them when we've gone out the bonds, what our cash balances are. Any other questions? Okay. The next 3 policies are in the consent agenda. They are policies that we have already looked at and reviewed for the CDBG grant. We also did them for the FEMA. However, the state is also requiring us to do them specifically for the state grants that are associated with FEMA. There's the purchasing policy and procedures, policy procedures to safeguard personal identification information, and the policy on fraud reporting. Are there any questions on those? Okay.
Thank you very much. City Attorney Jim.
No report.
Director of Public Works.
Yes, Your Honor. If you guys have been out there on 22nd Land, the grinding has been completed. So as of right now, no one can dump their debris out there anymore. We're going to block it off. I talked to the grinding company. They're going to start hauling the wood chips out the end of this week. They want to be done by Tuesday of next week so they can be home for Thanksgiving. So they're going to haul to Golden Valley or South of Boone County landfill. So they did a great job. I mean, they're working Saturday, Sundays till 7 o'clock at night, and they really got after it. So they did a great job. This was, remember, it's a state contract with no charge to us. So this is awesome. Another thing is the chamber is not doing their downtown lighted parade this year. We're going to put the Christmas tree up tomorrow I was going to wait till after Thanksgiving, like on the 30th, to plug it in. Do you guys have any dates? You can plug it in whenever you want. It can be up to you guys.
Do it after Thanksgiving.
That's what I sort of thought. So the 30th, Monday the 30th, we'll plug it in and get it. Okay. Thank you. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. City Engineer Dan.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. I have one item that we need to replace the flow meter at the water plant. This is a critical component of the plant. There's only one. It's how we measure the amount of water that's leaving the plant coming into town in the distribution system. It's how we record and track our water loss. It's how we track chemical usage. It's how we do our reporting to DNR. This is a critical component. This is an unexpected expense, so it would have to come from reserves. It's 55,600, I think. Something that we need to do. So if there are any questions, I'll take them. Otherwise, I need a motion for approval using reserve funds. How old is the old one? Oh, it's 20 years old. It's from the original.
Move to approve.
Second. Call the roll.
Excuse me, can I have the motion state approved with the use of reserves? If I could, for a budget amendment.
So moved.
Second. Call the roll.
Stein,
Yes.
Mormon,
Yes.
Pickla.
Yes.
Stecker. Yes. Ray.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Okay, next up, Public Safety, Chief Adams.
No report, Your Honor.
Great showing the other night.
Thank you. We appreciate everybody's support.
Chief Weeble.
Yes, Your Honor, just briefly, I'm seeking approval for out-of-state training. I want to send one of my officers, Dan Lynch, to a high-level defensive tactics training in Omaha. It is like world-renowned training, so I'd like to get it if possible.
Call the roll.
Mormon,
Yes.
Pickla.
Yes.
Stecker. Yes. Ray.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Stein.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Next up, City Administrator Bill.
Thank you, sir. Just one item, hotel motel. We've had discussions in council before, particularly about hotel motel for fiscal year 21, which we are in now. The best estimates that we can give at this point for fiscal year 21 is a total amount of 85,000, and that could be overshooting it. I know that council has authorized use of reserves for the entire fiscal year 21 for hotel motel, and that's what we will do, and what we take in will offset that depending on how much that is. My real reason for bringing this up this evening is, as you know, in January, there'll be a hotel motel meeting for fiscal year 22. We really do not know how much we're going to get. So the question I have is, does council want us to send out the letters and the request for applications for funding, knowing that we're not sure how much money we're going to get? Or we will certainly do it normal if we choose, or other options are to wait. We'll still have the hotel meeting in January. We'll have our best estimate for you on what we will receive in fiscal year 22. And then you can just give out to, I know there's certain agencies that automatically get it, like the Convention Bureau, Boone County Economic Growth, or the new ED position. So those are three. So that is an option. Or another option would be not to take any applications until after July 1st, when maybe we will have gotten all of fiscal year 21's money. We'll have a better idea of what maybe fiscal 22 may be. So there are options. We do have to give it away as you speak, but we can do it differently. But if you want to do it as normal, we have deadlines. We've got to get it in the paper here shortly. So I'm looking for some input from council on how they'd like to proceed for hotel motel for fiscal year 22.
This is Eli. In my opinion, we should wait until we have more certainty.
I agree. We don't know what we're gonna have. Everything's gonna be a mess. If we do it like we usually do, and people come in and they're gonna make the high ask, and we're not gonna have the money, I think we're just gonna create more. We need to let people know right now that we're just not gonna have the money like we have in the past. It's reality. I mean,
If you send out the letter, can you do that with an explanation that
I
We
think that
can-
should be the letter.
Yeah.
Right.
You may receive nothing. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's on it, the one that goes out anyway, that.
We don't send out a letter, usually.
You
we
just
put
take
in
it to the paper. That's why
I mean,
we have the deadline for the publishing.
Could we send a letter to the people who typically apply? That would say.
Or the
Yeah.
people that did it previous year.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And just let them know that
That we're not taking applications.
We're not
this year?
taking up at the current time.
at the current time, and this is why, and once we know or have a good idea, then
You'd be able to submit an application.
And certainly, when we have our normal meeting in January for the process of the budget, you can assign money to those certain agencies that you normally think the CBD, that's up to you, and the ED position that we have, and Boone County Economic Development. So you could address that in January. So I'm getting that you want us to send out a letter that we're not taking applications at this, to the ones that normally apply.
I think so.
You got everything you need on there? Yes. Okay.
Can you put anything in the paper then?
No, we won't. That is all I have, sir.
Thank you. Number 6, consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that you'd like to move and discuss separately? And if not, I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second.
Call the roll.
Pickla?
Yes.
Becker? Yes. Ray?
Yes.
Bird?
Yes.
McGinn?
Yes.
Stein?
Yes.
Mormon?
yes,
Okay, number 7, ordinances. A, second reading 2265, ordinance rezoning property located at 316 Harrison Street, Boone, Iowa, from R3 multifamily residential district to C2 limited commercial district at 1804 West Mamie Eisenhower Avenue, Boone, Iowa, from R2 1 and 2 family residential to A1 agricultural district.
Second.
Call the roll.
Becker?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Bird?
Yes.
McGinn?
Yes.
Stein?
Yes.
Mormon?
yes,
Pickla?
Yes.
Okay, B, third reading 2264, ordinance to change the parking regulations on Montana Street and Crawford Street, chapter 69, section 69.13. Call the roll.
Ray?
Yes.
Bird?
Yes.
McGinn?
Yes.
Stein?
Yes.
Mormon?
yes,
Pickla?
Yes.
Becker?
Yes.
Move to adopt. Second. Call the roll.
Bird?
Yes.
McGinn?
Yes.
Stein?
Yes.
Mormon?
yes,
Pickla?
Yes.
Stecker?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes. Okay, number 8, I have no comments. Number 9, any council member comments this evening?
if you notice, the flag poles and flags are down at the green space, we took them down for the winter, so they wouldn't take a beating in this wind and tear them up, so they'll go back up in the spring.
Any other council comments?
I forgot to mention during my recap, but when we had our meeting on Thursday with the Boone County Economic Growth, the question of financing came up, which came out of hotel motel. All of us on ED felt we could not commit to any number considering our numbers coming through on hotel motel at this time. So if they are aware that we cannot commit to anything until we get to January earliest. So.
Thank you. Any other council comments? Are there any public comments for items not on the agenda? If not, I need a motion to go into closed session to conduct a closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 21.51I to evaluate the professional competency.
Ask Eli if he's coming up for this meeting.
What's that?
Ask Eli if he's coming up for this meeting. Is he still on?
Eli, are you coming for this closed session?
No, I won't be able to make it over there in person. So, I don't know if we call in telephone or.
Flag is done.
McGinn?
Yes.
I can call your cell phone.
Okay, that's perfect. We'll do that.
Stein?
Thanks, Eli.
Yes.
Mormon?
Yes.
Pickla?